Ladies and gentlemen, the die is cast. You've heard from the president. What he's doing right now, consultation, that is what the president is doing to resuscitate the economy. You've heard what the PDP is saying. The APC also has responded. Let's get down to putting perspectives to this matter. Joining me in our studio is a former federal lawmaker, Honorable Wes Idahosa, joins us from our studio, where the president has been asked to take decisive action towards resuscitating the economy. What we have seen him do today is meet with cabinet members and also experts on the economy. Do you think that that is the right step to make right now, considering the state of the Nigerian economy?
Well, thank you for having me on the program once again. I think that it's the right step. It's coming a bit late, but it's still a welcome development. This is exactly what it needs at this time. Since government has no monopoly of knowledge, it has to consult with stakeholders. It has to rethink its policy directions, and it must come up with a clear picture because, as we all know, we are already in a recession with two consecutive quarters scoring negative growth, and of course huge unemployment and inflation already in existence. I think it's a step in the right direction.
One we wonder, perhaps, maybe too late, well, maybe not as fast as Nigerians will want him to take action in some of these situations. Some people will say we've seen signals that the economy might go into recession, not this time. Some people have blamed him for not putting up his cabinet together early enough. But for what we are seeing on the ground now, the crop of people that we know and understand were at that meeting, are those the right set of people to be talking to at this critical time?
Well, certainly most of them are the right set of people to be talking to at this time. But again, significantly, they will need to fall back on the country's National Assembly's efforts to help at a time like this. This is not likely the first country that has gone through a recession. At a time like this, the country's parliament must very strongly come out with persuasive pressure on the government to adopt policies that will encourage serious spending on infrastructure at this time, serious spending on ventures that will create jobs and that will increase the purchase power of the Nigerian citizen. Now, this is where Parliament is very important because it has to take a deep look at the budget implementation pattern and to see whether it will need to encourage violence from sectors that are not at this moment relevant to sectors that are critical to battling recession.
Mr. Idahosa, you've been at the National Assembly for some years, at least for two sessions, if I can remember vividly. And with the nature of the parliament right now, the issues that are being generated and thrown up because of the leadership issues, the budget padding matter will come up again when they resume. Do you think the present parliament, as it's presently constituted, has the right frame of mind to concentrate on the economy, considering the leadership crisis that is rocking the National Assembly, and of course some of the external issues that the National Assembly leadership is facing currently?
Well, I think that this is where patriotism and responsibility are critical. First, you are elected into parliament to serve your country and your constituency, to make laws for the good governance of our country. And thereafter, within parliament, you may be lucky to rise to leadership positions. So leadership positions in parliament are secondary. At a time like this, I do not think that that should bring down the zeal of lawmakers to deal with the issues of the day. If you look at the philosophy of this government, it is more like that of Jeremy Bentham. It set out to promote the greatest happiness for the greatest number of people. But is that being done? No. And can that be solved? Yes. And the reason why Parliament cannot sit out watching is because in the end, they will take the ultimate blame, because every constituency in this country has at least one representative in Parliament, and Parliament has a duty of promulgating or making the strongest law in this country. When the recession is being discussed, one important fiscal instrument that must be well tooled to fight recession is the Appropriation Act itself. And that's the responsibility of the National Assembly. It is duty to ensure that the implementation patterns conceived are followed, and that that instrument is used dispassionately, irrespective of partisan politics or party leanings, to salvage the country from what we now say is recession, and if nothing is done now, for what could become a depression. God forbid.
Mr. also, if you would tell us, would you suggest that the president, for example, should be addressing the National Assembly as soon as they return to give updates on the economy and perhaps to share ideas with the representatives of the people on ways to go and to resuscitate the economy?
There's no question about that. In fact, something like a State of the Nation address is very imminent, because the president's address of Parliament could also send signals not only to the private sector, that the president very much is inviting to come and help reactivate the economy, but to the international community that will be looking at the body language, and beyond the body language, the policy initiatives of the president at a time like this. And an address to Parliament will set this tone and demonstrate the specifics and details that the president intends to employ in combating recession, which in turn will elicit a national discourse and a public response to those modalities that the president would have put before Parliament, and that will, of course, produce a very important scrutiny to the presidential proposals.
Okay, again, when we look at some of the debates on the ground now, the PDP is saying the president should resign. Do you think that is reasonable considering what is on the table?
No, I think that's out of the question. That's not the issue right now, because the question of resignation is an opinion expressed by a major political party. But I think what the PDP should be doing now is putting before the nation its alternative to coming out of recession. The PDP should put before the country its policy alternatives, should neatly articulate an argument that can persuade the Nigerian people that they have what it takes to play the role of the opposition party in this country. Resignation at this point of time is not the issue. Well, what I think the issue is whether the president is willing to listen to the sensitivity of the Nigerian people, listen to the advice that will be given to him by the experts that he has called, and listen to professionals who have offered varied views on the way to go out of this economy, or a recession.
All right, we'll take a moment, Honorable Idaus, and we will be right back. We'll be asking some very deep questions on what the APC also feels about the state of the nation before it got into power. They say the PDP has plunged Nigeria into disaster before they took over. That's next on the program. Join us again.